Hey everyone, it's Cory McCarthy and thank you for tuning in. This is going to be quick. This was not a video I had planned on producing, but one that I felt compelled to produce given current events. I do want to lead with a disclaimer though, that I'm just a third party here. This is the story as I understand it, and while I have been in contact with both George and Gemma, I have not spoken with anyone else from Anonymous for the Voiceless, past or present. So this response is entirely based on my current understanding of the events. Recently, AV fired two activists from their roster, George Martin and Gemma Barnes. The reason? They had posted this in the AV Facebook group and had replied the following while logged in as AV, that many folks do not believe that systemic oppression in the West exists. So, long story short, Asal Alamdari, co-founder and director of AV, quickly produced an apology video claiming that this was not AV's stance, and that they do in fact acknowledge that systemic oppression does exist in the West. Paul Bashir, a co-founder and director of AV, along with Asal, eventually issued George Martin an ultimatum that he take a week off to research the existence of systemic oppression, and if he refused to acknowledge its existence, that he would be fired. They also required that he show care with regards to human issues such as George Floyd's murder in Minneapolis. Paul had insinuated to George that systemic oppression of humans is an objective reality and that to deny it would be racist. Within a day, not a week, George Martin was fired from AV. And so was another AV activist, Gemma Barnes. To make matters worse, any pushback against AV's decision, which is pictured here, such as this response, appears to be suppressed so that only the person leaving the comment or their friends will be able to see it. Which demonstrates AV's unwillingness to allow for discourse and dissenting opinions about their decision, no matter how politely expressed, which in my opinion is gutless behavior. In fact, Gemma Barnes had left this response, which is no longer available to view, so do feel free to pause now and read, allowing her thoughts to be seen. With all of that being said, I will now demonstrate what I consider to be hypocrisy on Paul Bashir's part by using a clip from a video that he had posted on May 31st to AV's Facebook page.
When vegans say that veganism is also about humans because we're also animals, tell them to stay the fuck in their lane, to stay the fuck away from animal rights if that's the way they think about animal rights. This is ruining our movement, people who think that animal rights is also about humans. It's fucking not. It's a non-human rights movement. I'm not a fucking politician, I'm an activist. I never cared about politics. It has no place in the animal rights movement, period. End of story. I'm not a fucking politician, I'm an activist. I never cared about politics. It has no place in the animal rights movement, period. End of story. It has no place in the animal rights movement, period. End of story. It has no place in the animal rights movement, period. End of story.
If that was the case, then why did you allow human politics, which you claim have no place in the animal rights movement, to influence your decision-making for your organization? And that's a rhetorical question. It seems obvious as to why AV has gotten down on their knees. After all, VegFest UK had publicly stated they will no longer be welcoming AV, and limp-dicked, low-testosterone SJWs such as this one on Twitter have called AV racist for Paul daring to say intersectionality has no place in animal activism. And who knows what other heat AV has received from their sponsors, donors, the public, etc. Clearly, Paul and Asal are engaging in damage control. But they would do well to learn that kowtowing to the outrage mob will do nothing more than appear as an admission of guilt. You simply will never appease these personality-disordered, brainwashed, deranged, far-left lunatics once they have determined that you are guilty in some manner. Ergo, if you do apologize, they will collectively parade your head around like a trophy. They have zero loyalty, not even to their own. They are immoral trash, which is precisely why they need to virtue signal so hard and so often to cover for just how reprehensible they are as people. Because people with actual virtue have zero need for virtue signaling. And that has been scientifically validated in research. If anyone wants to learn more about how these human piranha behave, moreover how to properly deal with them, then I recommend reading the book SJWs Always Lie by Vox Day, which I have linked below. In any case, I've said my piece. I do hope AV will recognize their error, reconsider, stand back up, reinstate both George and Gemma, and push back on the whinging and demands of the outrage mob. However, that's likely not going to happen. Sadly, prominent animal rights organizations, one after another, have caved to the far left. Animal rights should be exclusively for non-human animals, but it has been continually co-opted and bastardized, and now AV has contributed to that problem. As if there weren't already an exhaustive list of various human causes. Why can't there just be one movement for the animals without muddying the waters with human politics and social issues? Anyway, leave your thoughts and comments and even hate below. Please do share this video to ensure that it is seen, and thank you all for listening.